Devika, now let's make an assessment. We've seen terror attacks in the past. We've seen a surgical strike conducted. We all know that happened. We in fact interviewed the people who conducted it. We've seen an airstrike conducted in Balakot. The first priority, of course, is going to be to hunt down these 4 terrorists. What next?
Rishabh, I don't think this time around, because of the scale of the attack and also the nature of the attack, I don't really remember the last time there was an attempt to openly target civilians specifically. There is a slight difference when in the past we've seen a lot of, as you've also said, and India has been saying for a long time that we have been at the receiving end of Pakistan's terrorism for a very long time. So as a nation, we've seen a lot of terror attacks, yes. But in the past few instances that we've seen, majorly those attacks were targeted at military convoys or at the forces. And in those attacks, there could have been civilian casualties as well. However, this time around, because the nature of the attack has entirely changed, it seems to me as though the government's response will also entirely change because civilians have been openly targeted.
Okay, so we've seen, I mean, in Jammu we've seen civilians targeted, okay. Literally assassinations have been assassinations of Kashmiri Pandits.
Of laborers as well.
Yeah, have been carried out, or people who come to work there have been carried out. But yes, this is different, okay. So 26/11 was different because we, in the unhappy reality of our lifetimes, have grown up with, I've grown up, Barakhamba Road bomb blast, Greater Kailash bomb blast. I live in Delhi, these are familiar places to me. Then Mecca Masjid, Bengaluru, this train, that train blown up, okay. We've seen it in my lifetime. I was born in the mid 80s and since the early 90s, it's been, that's what we've dealt with. 26/11 was different. That was 10 guys armed to the teeth who came and laid siege to Mumbai for 3 days. Okay, this is different now. We are going to respond. Now the quick question, Devika, is how do we respond? So as I mentioned, we've done 2 things in the past. We've done a surgical strike and we've done an airstrike. Now we are being told that the response will be unimaginable to the people who perpetrated this. So simply doing something that we've done in the past is very imaginable, let me put it that way. So what would be in the realm of unimaginable? How do we contextualize this, or what could possibly take place?
Okay, this is an assessment. I want to once again put that caveat out, since we're talking strictly assessments. When we talk of unimaginable, of course, our number 1 priority, like I said, it's not going to be just hunting down these 4 people. We want to now send out a very clear message that terrorism will not be tolerated. Yes, we've been doing a lot of strikes against terror camps in the past as well. There have been a lot of operations in Jammu and Kashmir specifically, in which hundreds of terrorists have been wiped out, but we haven't been able to perhaps target the problem at the root till this point. So in my assessment, I do believe that the government will be taking some, when they say unimaginable, there is a likelihood that several terror camps, which we know exist in Pakistan, in border areas, in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, could be wiped out by the government of India. Now, how they plan on structuring that attack is, of course, something that is left best to the judgment of the forces and the government itself. But when we talk about unimaginable, this is the time that India has to send across the strongest possible message.
Any chance, anything further than that? Some people would say, here's the opportunity,
yes,
go for PoK.
Yes. Again, that's a very tricky subject. But in my assessment, once again, if there is a time for India to truly reclaim PoK, this is possibly it. Because as we've seen, Pakistan is extremely weak economically, politically and militarily at this point in time. Secondly, this is not India's assault on Pakistan. This is not India retaliate. This is not an offensive by India. India is literally on the defensive right now, and therefore I believe that if the government were to take a call on PoK, that probably is a part of the discussion.
So there are two things that can happen right now. Either you see an escalated response. I would call this Balakot into 100.
Yes.
Okay, so 100 times bigger than Balakot. Or you go for broke. And yes, you can argue that you are in the most favorable situation, historically aligned favorable situation, that if you were to attempt a reclaiming of PoK in our lifetimes, now is probably it. With the current American administration in place, with the current situation with China and Russia, the current political, economic and military instability in Pakistan, they're bankrupt. The ability to afford even small arms is affected. But there are going to be consequences which have to be computed. Is it worth a protracted mountainous conflict over several weeks? Is it worth sending in troops to occupy places or reoccupy places after having removed the Pakistani establishment from them, because that will cause an economic disruption in India. You'll have to potentially shut airspace in large tracts of northern India. You might see an issue with the stock markets. You might see trade disruptions. Those will be temporary issues, but they might happen. So I'm assuming that it's a difficult call. Luckily, I don't have to make it. Okay, but there are reasons we could argue that if it is to be done, best it be done quickly. Sorry to quote the Shakespeare. Breaking developments coming in as we speak. This is from the Ministry of External Affairs. My senior executive editor Megha Sharma joining us to discuss this. Megha, we've been told there is an update to a corollary to the special visas, the SARC visas issued to Pakistanis yesterday. Now a decision on all visas has been made. Can you elucidate, please?
Yes, this is fresh information pouring in from the Foreign Ministry in India. It says that India has decided to suspend all visa services to Pakistani nationals with immediate effect, which means that every single one of those existing visas that have already been issued to Pakistanis stand revoked, which also means that the Pakistanis will have to leave the country by April 29th because their visa validity is up until April 29th itself. Now, there was a strong action taken by India with regards to downgrading our diplomatic ties. The time allotted for the diplomats from the Pakistani side to get out of the country is 1st of May, but for the Pakistani nationals, the time period that has been given is only of 48 hours. So April 29th is when the Pakistani nationals will have to get out of the country. There were already a number of scenes. There were people, Pakistani nationals, who were at the Atari border, who were on the verge of leaving the country, also spoke to the media. They spoke about their state of affairs, and it's obviously not a happy situation. But stringent action has to be taken, and is this then going to be something that is going to be reckoned in the near future? What happens, the kind of decisions that the government
all right,
takes?
so let's just keep it straightforward to what the news is, and the news is escalating. So last night we were told that all the special visas issued under a special SARC mandate to Pakistanis stand revoked, and all Pakistani nationals under those visas have been asked to leave within 48 hours. Now we are being told that all visa services to Pakistan are being suspended with immediate effect. That means no Pakistani can now apply or will receive a visa to travel to India. All medical visas will only be valid till the 29th of April. So all those from Pakistan here on medical visas to India are being asked to leave within the week. We've also been told that all existing visas issued to the Pakistanis stand revoked, which I also assume will mean that they're being asked to leave as soon as their visas expire. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to confuse the issue, because the big ticket you took out last night, most probably from the press conference after the Cabinet Committee on Security met, is the Indus Water Treaty. Now, the Indus Water Treaty and India's decision to hold it in abeyance is a very major in principle development. And the reason I say it's in principle is because if you held the treaty in abeyance, you can potentially change the terms of the conversation and the waters. Remember, Pakistan gets almost all its waters from the Himalayan rivers. That's geography. Okay. But this is a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year impact on Pakistan. This is not a tomorrow, day after, next week, next month impact on Pakistan. Because the treaty has been held respectfully by India for 80 years, we have not built other than run-of-river projects on these rivers, the Beas, Satluj and others. So we do not have the canals, the reservoirs or the dams to, in large scale, shift water from flowing into Pakistan and divert it to either reservoirs, dams or tributaries as well as rivers in India. So if you in principle made a decision, the only thing you've actually done is say that, okay, we are opening ourselves to an impact that will be felt by Pakistan in the next few years. This is a huge consequence in the medium term, but this is not avenging the deaths in Pahalgam tomorrow, day after, next week or next month. So I don't want to get lost in the Indus Water Treaty for show for that reason, even though it's a big ticket item. I want you to watch out very carefully, and the government of India is not using these words, but I am free to. Enemy aliens. All Pakistanis are being told to leave India within 48 hours or 1 week, including those who are here for medical treatment. These things only happen when something big is about to go down. Okay? Which is why enemy alien laws, now they have not been declared enemy aliens. That's why I'm saying it's my terminology, not the government of India's. But which is why enemy alien laws exist in countries all over the world, including ours, that foreign nationals from a country that we are suspecting to have hostilities with are being asked to vacate, failing which they may most likely face detention. So I want you to track these developments more carefully, because they are the prelude to something. The Indus Water Treaty announcement is an in principle decision which has a medium or long term impact. These smaller developments, which might seem innocuous, visa, cancel the defense attaché, send him home, they seem like smaller developments, but those are actually the more serious developments. Let me open up this conversation. Joining us on the broadcast, Colonel TP Tyagi is with us, Adit is joining us, and Group Captain Augustine is joining us. So, Group Captain Augustine, let me pick up from the conversation we were having last evening to where things stand today, and let me just draw the timeline of events. And I'm going to, for reasons I've already stated, leave the Indus Water Treaty from this, because that's not an immediate operational matter. But we are being told that all, my words, enemy nationals are being asked to vacate the country within 48 hours. All armed forces attaches in the Pakistani High Commission are being asked to leave by 29th April, which is a week's time. The Indian armed forces are on high alert, and the Prime Minister of India, whom I take very seriously after having observed him for the past 12 years, he's not a person who speaks emptily, has just said we will pursue them to the ends of the earth and they will face consequences they cannot imagine. What is this suggesting to you, sir?
See, I picked up the same thread that you picked up, that military attaches on both sides have to leave, which has normally, that doesn't get invoked so easily. I feel this Indus Water Treaty is I mean, like you said, it will have a long-term effect, of course, but it is more like a red herring, so that people discuss about it till cows come home, where on the ground nothing much is likely to happen, for simple reason. Our Indus Water Treaty involves much more rivers per se, because all of them don't come in confluence and become Indus. In our land, it becomes Indus in their land. So that includes Chandrabhaga, beyond Ramban, and many such rivers which go into Pakistan. And like you correctly said, some have diversion and a little bit of water that we can hold. But post 1960, the accord that we signed, we really didn't work towards joining these rivers together to bring it down to Indira Gandhi Canal and down to probably into Rajasthan. So that work is like I would say at least 5 years down the road, if not more. But what is really of consequence here is getting the military attaches on either side back. And once military attaches come in, and who will further get recalled, I really don't know.
Okay,
But
so again,
on top of that, I just
what is
would
this
like to add.
indicating, sir? I mean, what puzzle pieces? Because like I've said, you ask, and my words, not the government of India's, my words, you ask the enemy aliens to leave, all of them, including their citizens. You ask the military attaches to leave. You put all your armed forces on alert. We have no public information if reserve deployment is taking place or leaves are being cancelled. I don't know that, and I'm not going to share anything if I happen to know unless it's been publicly announced. But what is it indicating?
So likewise, I mean, I probably know more, but till it comes on to someone comes and announces it, we are not going to talk about it. That I mean, it's an unsaid rule. But I'm connecting two dots which came out publicly. One is military attaches and military personnel who are in the embassies getting recalled. Obviously, they'll also recall theirs. And Modi ji's speech in Bihar in the morning. That was and the hardest speech that I have seen in his tenure. And he said it in Hindi as well as in English for the international audience. So he is, I mean, this is in the diplomacy or Kutniti mein, this is the first piece that moves.
Yeah.
The first, a pawn that moves forward to
It's
garner the
as
international
clear
support.
now. We no longer in our terminology use declaration of war. So what you've received is a declaration of intent, and he's not minced any words. And like I said, you can choose if you're sitting somewhere in Pakistan to say, this man is just talking, hawa mein baat ho rahi hai, or you can choose to take him very seriously. Now I can remember Siddharth, my colleague, is going to help. Siddharth, there was this Pakistani member of parliament, a senator I think, who had spoken to about how the home minister's hands were shaking when Wing Commander Abhinandan was captured as a POW. Can you pull out that statement? Because I can promise you that it was almost impossible for anybody, including me and anyone I know, to consider that Wing Commander Abhinandan would be returned to India within 48 hours. We were all deeply concerned about what was going to happen to him. And if it is true, and I have reason to believe it is true, that the Saudis, the Emiratis, the Americans all had to make urgent phone calls, some say urgent visits. They had to catch a flight. Imagine if all of them were taking seriously on one single POW, unimaginable consequences were about to come down to Pakistan. Imagine what's going to happen when 26 civilians who have been killed due to their religion in Pahalgam, what hands will shake and what sweat will be on which brow in which meeting in Rawalpindi GHQ right now. But I put the caveats repeatedly. I'll continue putting those caveats through the course of the telecast. We are neither privy to, nor if we were privy to, nor would we be discussing any operational matters. We are speculating on the availability of public information. Now, let me get the good colonel into this telecast to ask him the similar question.
Sir,
Colonel Tyagi, on the basis of what you've just heard, we are in operational red alert. Enemy aliens have been asked to vacate the country, including their defense attaches. All visas stand cancelled, including medical visas. And the Prime Minister of India has just promised unimaginable consequences. What do you think is going to happen next?
firstly, the credibility of the man matters. Narendra Modi, whatever he said, he did. It includes removal of 370 article of the Constitution. It includes Teen Talaq. It includes construction of the mandir and very many other things. Hence, everyone takes him seriously because what he says, he does. And generally, the political leaders speak in tones in such a way that you can mold the argument this way also and that way also. But today, the way he has spoken, it is singular, specific, directional. He has clearly said that they will get a treatment which they could not imagine. Now, once we say which they could not imagine, means it is not only that the terrorists, they will be destroyed, terrorists will be neutralized. No, their masters will also be neutralized. But that is also not
Okay, so let's, Colonel Tyagi, you and me try to read between the lines, because what can we imagine?
Just one second. When he says unimaginable, what I imagine is that probably this time the attack will be on the military headquarters in Rawalpindi, because that is the source, that is the root. So unimaginable, which I can imagine, is that attack on military headquarters Rawalpindi.
Okay, so let me yeah, so I want to hold you there, because what can we imagine? So India will send a dossier to Islamabad with evidence. That's not unimaginable. India will conduct a surgical strike. That's also not unimaginable. Pakistanis are probably expecting it as we speak. India will conduct an air strike. That's also very imaginable. They are also probably expecting it as we speak. So something scalarly in a different orbit. Now it can be that you consider, and Colonel Tyagi is speculating here, that for him unimaginable would be a strike directly on GHQ Rawalpindi. Okay. My assessment is Balakot into 100. Or if you were to actually take over PoK, could you do it? Is there a better time in a lifetime to do it? I don't know. Okay. That would be unimaginable. Fire and fury. Let me get Adit into this conversation. Adit, you know, I will come and discuss the Indus Water Treaty, but there's a reason, as I mentioned, I'm not spending most of my time on it, because that's an in principle big ticket item, but that doesn't have military consequences or economic consequences tomorrow. We'll have to build the projects and build the reservoirs 5-10 years later. It will in principle change dramatic things, but right now the Prime Minister of the country has promised unimaginable consequences. I don't think he meant Indus Water Treaty. So what do you think he meant?
So, you know, because Colonel Tyagi said that in his imagination, the unimaginable is, of course, you know, hitting directly at the GHQ. I would go certainly ahead, and I would say it's the military academies. Remember, it's 3 years of intakes. That would be, you know, hit directly. So that is the most unimaginable that I can think. I mean, there were more unimaginable stuff that you and General Katoj had sort of discussed yesterday when you were showing your maps, and you were basically pointing from Kotli right up to the northern ridges of the various training camps that exist in Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir. And I call it Jammu Kashmir primarily because only 5% of the land that is currently under Pakistani occupation is that of Kashmir. The rest of it is Jammu and Gilgit.
I've given myself license, okay, to discuss the unimaginable. So let me discuss it with you, okay?
So the one thing I wanted to say is that shame in private is no shame at all. So whatever we do, we need to ensure that we make, you know, it needs to be incisive, it needs to be damaging, and it needs to tell a story to the world that, you know, we have a spine and we're not going to take it lying low. You know, remember.
So let me ask you a straight question. Is Pahalgam India's October 7th?
Absolutely it is. I mean, far more barbaric, I would say. I mean, the way it's been done, you know, where you know, ID cards were requested of the victims. You know, their pants were basically lowered just to see whether they were circumcised or not. And those kind of things basically demonstrates the mindset. And it is a very Hamas kind of an operation at the end of the day. You know, this is typically how Hamas basically operate. So I'm fairly sure, you know, all of the Iranian Hamas leaders who had come across.
So let me assess this from knowledge of history. In 65, GHQ Rawalpindi could not imagine that a person who had just recently become Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri, in a contested time in government, when the daughter of the former Prime Minister who died in 64 was also around, that he would have the spine to face open war against Pakistan. So what they were thinking is that if they invade Operation Gibraltar, that if they invade PoK, the fight will be for J&K. What they did not think that Shastri would open war on the international border. So that was for them unimaginable. Then when Indira was there in 71, the assessment made again by GHQ Rawalpindi, different general this time Yahya, okay, is that if there is to be a fight, it will be restricted to East Pakistan. Could not imagine that Indira would say, okay, let's head for Lahore, boys, under Manik Shah, of course. So that was unimaginable. So both the times, because of the failure of the Pakistani imagination, okay, and I say this with my tongue firmly in my cheek, failure of their imagination and their failure of understanding the spine of India, they lost all the wars. In 48, it was a failure of imagination. Thanks to the then Lieutenant General and future Field Marshal of India, Kariyappa, wish we hadn't stopped him, then we wouldn't have been having this problem 3 generations later, but that's a different political conversation. So unimaginable. Now, I want you to listen to this. I just mentioned that last time after Balakot, in a retaliatory strike that took place by the Pakistani Air Force, an Indian pilot, okay, flying what can be argued an out of date aircraft, took on the Pakistanis and he was shot down after having engaged with them and shooting down one of the aircraft. He was recovered and taken POW and he was sent back to India within 48 hours, bruised and battered for sure, but within 48 hours. This is what publicly was told to the Pakistani people what happened. Listen to this.
कुलभूषण की बात की, कुलभूषण के लिए हम तो ऑर्डिनेंस नहीं लेके आए थे जो रातों रात और 1-2 महीने वो ऑर्डिनेंस छुपा के रखा। कुलभूषण को हमने इस्लामाबाद हाई कोर्ट में इतनी एक्सेस तो नहीं दी थी जितनी के इस हुकूमत ने दी। और अभिनंदन की क्या बात करते हैं, मुझे याद है शाह महमूद कुरैशी साहब उस मीटिंग में थे जिसमें प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब ने आने से इनकार कर दिया और चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ तशरीफ लाए। पैर कांप रहे थे, पसीने माथे पे थे और हमसे शाह महमूद साहब ने कहा, फॉरेन मिनिस्टर साहब ने, कि खुदा का वास्ता है अब इसको वापस जाने दें, क्योंकि 9 बजे रात को हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान पे अटैक कर रहा है। वो कोई हिंदुस्तान ने अटैक नहीं करना था, कुछ नहीं होना था, सिर्फ घुटने टेक के अभिनंदन को वापस भेजना था जो इन्होंने किया। तो ये ऐसी बातें ना करें कि जो हम मजबूर हो जाते हैं ये बात करने को। इंसान वो बात करे जिससे कोई प्रोडक्टिविटी आ जाए कौमी असेंबली में, कोई हमारी लेजिस्लेशन हो जाए, कोई हम काम कर सके। शुक्रिया।
Okay, Shah Mahmood Kureshi, okay, Prime Minister was of course Imran Khan. We are told Imran Khan didn't even attend the meeting. So the army chief was there, Kureshi was there, and we are being told his legs were shaking, he was sweating. But this gentleman, who is a senator in Pakistan, says that it was all a bluff when India said we will attack you at 9 p.m. because he suffers from the same disease as his ancestral dictatorial forefathers, which is called lack of imagination. Okay, so he feels it's a bluff. Let me get Group Captain Augustine into this. Do you think, sir, that all options are on the table?
Options are on the table. First and foremost, there is another line which we need to read. I mean, now we all are reading between the lines to make out what we can make out of so measured statement that he gave in Bihar today. One is, he said, unimaginable, I mean, will be beyond imagination of people. Second, he said, of the terror network. So these two things, when I join together, like you said, the very right word you used, Balakot in 2000, I would see that escalation will not be across the IB, LOC, LAC. It will probably be limited to the northern regions, right up to Skadu, Gilgit, till what we call in military parlance as the Sangam. where IB and LOC LAC meets near just north of Pathankot. From that area till about Skadu Gilgit, even across IB probably, is what I am looking at, because that is where all the training camps are. That is where the foreign terrorists, as in the terrorists from Afghanistan, also come and train. And we know exactly where these camps are.
Yeah, we know them.
have
Can we
not
put the map
only-
graphic out? I mean, I know them. Okay, Group Captain Augustine knows them. He knows them better than I do. Okay, but this is publicly known. It's a joke. We all know where they are. Let's put the map out. So you continue talking. We'll put the map out as you speak.
Yeah. In fact, I walked all along till the, so we call it the KDP. So key defensive positions, or KDL, key defensive location, all across, right from Sangam till there. It took us 12 days to walk. Anyway, be it as it may. But what I'm trying to say is, that area is, I mean, Colonel Tejinder would, bear me out. That area is and across where we know exactly where these camps are. Some of them are transitory camps, some of them are holding areas, some of them are launch pads, and some of them are training areas. So we know training area most of the time.
My
These
question,
trainers,
my pointed question then would be: there's literally no point in taking out a single camp. No, if you have to do it, you take them all out in one fell swoop.
there are about 120, 150 in number.
So for
and,
people watching the
number goes
broadcast,
up
mark my
during
words,
winters
I
to
said
about
Balakot.
170.
I just said Balakot in 200. So if you took out one camp in Balakot, you would simultaneously, in my opinion, want to take out 100 camps together in one fell swoop. Now, obviously, those are not going to be surgical strikes. So potentially, in the realm of speculation, there are either air strikes, cruise missile strikes, or drone strikes, or combinations of all of the three, Group Captain.
Combination of all of the three, including SF operations.
Okay.
That is what I am looking at.
It could be special forces as well. Who knows? Okay.
Yes,
maybe
yeah.
you want to capture a few of them. Who knows? Obviously,
Yes,
special
yeah.
forces operations require a great degree of risk to the personnel than missile strikes. Now, there will be a retaliation, Group Captain. It will most likely be an airborne retaliation, most likely
Confined to that area.
but most
Like
likely
we
a larger
confined them
retaliation
during
than we saw in
Kargil.
Balakot.
So when we confine geographically, they have no choice but to confine themselves geographically. And that is an elbow room we are not affording ourselves, we are giving him. If he comes to IB, then it is free for all. If you cross an IB, then we will cross from areas which he can't even imagine, he can't even defend.
No, then from Gujarat,
Barmer
Rajasthan,
to
Punjab,
north of
everything is open.
Jaisalmer.
Let's bring it on. Yeah,
There are so
that's
many
all out
areas
war.
that
Yes.
we go in like Blitzkrieg, Hyderabad gone, Multan gone, probably even outskirts of Karachi gone. Overnight possibility exists.
Okay, can I
He
get
knows.
Siddharth, can I get the map on, please, of the terror camps which are all known to us, including of course now infamously Balakot, which probably has now been rebuilt. Okay, so let me get Colonel Tyagi back into this conversation. Colonel Tyagi, now I'm going to give my assessment and you please give yours before we run out of time. Okay, this is complete idle speculation from a civilian. Okay, my assessment is unimaginable consequences are Balakot into 100x. So if you took out one camp, you take out 100 camps. All of them will be taken out within a span of an hour or two. There will be a retaliatory airstrike or attempted airstrike by the Pakistanis. We will respond to the airstrike and then it stops. All of it will be over in 24 hours. This is my speculative civilian assessment from no knowledge whatsoever. Colonel Tyagi, what do you suspect?
Sir, I do not agree with your assessment. Kindly pardon me. The point is this, that multiplicity of attack removes you from the focus of attack. Ukraine and Russia are fighting since last more than 3 years. They do not know what is to be damaged and what is not to be damaged. So if you have to do something concrete, effective, permanently for all time to come, you have to select one target and demolish it decisively. So multiplicity of attack, that 100 Balakot, firstly, we do not have the exact coordinate and location of those 100 people, 100 locations. And by the way, unimaginable has already started taking place. Is it not a fact that General Munir has gone into bunker? Is it not a fact that terrorist camps have been vacated? They have been sent to different places. The training areas have been vacated. So even if suppose we attack on number of such places of terrorists, we will find them vacant.
Okay.
So, and then we have done it once. We have done it once. Could we demolish them or neutralize them permanently? Or even, could we make them disabled? No, sir, they are continuing. Hence, some action has to be taken which is with force, like Arjun, with something in the eye, and that I consider is the military.
Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, like I've said, and I'm repeatedly saying, this is ideal speculation. It's not warmongering because we're past that stage now. Something is coming. Okay, so Colonel Tyagi says, no, unimaginable is direct strike on GHQ Rawalpindi, pick one target, hammer them hard and take out the head of the viper. Okay, they will be shaken to the core because they cannot imagine something like that would happen. Okay, I am saying Balakot into 100. Okay, then deal with the Pakistani retaliatory airstrike, do a counter airstrike, and the matter probably closes there. Adit has his finger up, and I'm assuming he has yet another unimaginable scenario.
So, just taking the argument forward from Dr. Augustine, so one aspect is obviously, the capabilities that we didn't have in 2019. Remember, we had the Mirage 2000s. Today, we have 36 Rafales. So, putting them to use is one unimaginable. The other unimaginable is, what Pakistan used to do in the 80s. They had a stated policy called Operation Topak, which is bleed India with 1,000 cuts, have proxy wars in India and ensure that, India is busy within its own realm. Today, that is happening to Pakistan. Balochistan is there, KPK, Pakistan-occupied Jammu, Kashmir. These are all hot areas. Even Karachi, even Sindh. There is a freedom movement, brewing in Sindh ever since GM Syed. So right from 1948 onwards. So there are multiple options from that perspective where you disintegrate Pakistan and you completely leave it in a vegetative state. So
Could be,
Punjab
could
becomes
be.
the region.
I mean,
KPK,
just because I can't imagine it
PoK.
doesn't mean it's not possible. Okay, you
Yeah,
could blockade
Yeah.
Karachi. You've done it in the past. Okay, just hold on a second, Adit. We have some breaking developments coming in.
Sure.
Because we have a response from the Pakistani government. Megha, my senior executive editor, is with me on the telecast. Megha, this is regarding the Indus Water Treaty. What are they saying?
Right, this is what was expected from Pakistan, and that's exactly the statement that comes out from there. It says if the Indus Water Treaty is suspended and it is and if water is halted to the lower riparian region of Pakistan, Pakistan will consider it as an act of war. So this is a pressure tactic that had been used by India willfully yesterday at the CCF that was headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this is the immediate impact that India expected out of Pakistan.
Okay, now there's a technicality here, of course. Okay, what they are saying is any attempt to stop or divert flow. Okay, so otherwise yesterday is already an act of war. Okay, so then we are already at war with Pakistan, chapter is closed. But they're saying no, if you actually now start diverting the flow of the waters, which of course physically is not possible right now, and the reason is physically not possible is because the actual projects that we were building to do this were stalled and we didn't build them because the Pakistanis objected and we wanted to honor the Indus Water Treaty till of course our grandchildren get murdered in Pahalgam by the Pakistanis. So we wanted to keep doing it until several more generations die or are stripped and then asked which religion they are, show their identity cards and are killed. So we were waiting for that generation to deal with it. Thankfully, it's happened in the time of my generation. So my children and grandchildren will have to deal with the same situation. But it's a technicality. Megha, thank you. Interesting technicality. I'm going to pick this up on very short break. Back in 2 minutes, and then we discuss what potentially is going to happen. And my appeal to you is don't get distracted by the Indus Water Treaty. That's not the real deal. See you in a minute.